Welcome to your TV for today. Ouch 110, up close and personal. It's not a pretty sight. Hi guys, how's everyone doing? Oh, that just had a freak out, sorry. So it's time to answer your guys' questions. I've done this a couple of times before. It's always really fun because, to be quite frank, it gives me a little bit of a break from a very structured video. Reviews take time, they take research, and this is a really nice way to just be off the cuff and just talk freely. It's my respite. Not that I hate doing my reviews and stuff, but it's just a whole different spin on recording a video. So anyway, moving on. A couple of weeks ago I posted a video saying ask me questions. I've done it before, it's not rocket science, so I'm going to answer your questions right now. I've literally not looked at the questions at all. I've only checked back I think once or twice to maybe respond to somebody. So it's going to be off the cuff, which is so much better. It's freeing for me, and yeah, I'm kind of excited because it's so fun to talk to you guys all the time. So I will say, I have planned to answer the first question, which was the only tweet that I got, and it's here on my phone somewhere. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, here it is. It's from Rebel1, and by the way, Rebel1, don't think you got any special preference for being answered first. I'm not being horrible, guys, it's just because we have a history, okay? I know this person-ish. So, it's a non-fragrance related question. You say, let's talk about alcohol. Great way to start. You asked me, let's talk alcohol. Favourite wine, favourite brandy, favourite whiskey, brands. Our lives still go on, my darling. Well, okay, I'll start off by saying, when people ask me what my blood type is, I generally say Sauvignon Blanc. When it comes to white wine, I pretty much exclusively only drink New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, which sounds really, really snobby, but it's just my preference, and it has to be Marlborough region as well. That's even worse, right? But it's my favourite type of white wine, and going to New Zealand last year and going around the vineyards all day and tasting all of these amazing wines. I mean, I loved this type of wine before, but going there just really enhanced my entire love for this wine, and it's right here. It's Friday night, so yeah. That's my favourite. White, that's my favourite. White. With red I'm a little bit more open. I like mainly Malbecs, and I also love Cabernet Sauvignons or Rioja. Those are my three favourite reds, but wine is literally my blood type. I guess you'd call me a little bit of a lush, as we say in England. I love my wine, a lot. Maybe too much. So let's carry on. I'm gonna go back to my page now, and I'm just gonna look at the questions you guys asked me, and we'll see what happens. Welcome to your TV for today. Ouch 110, up close and personal. It's not a pretty sight. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm hoping to get this video into one part. I'm not sure if that's gonna work because I tend to ramble, and you guys asked me quite a few questions, so yeah, I hope that I can put it into one part. It might be two. Usually it's two. Anyway, the first question comes from Tiff EL, who happens to be my most recent giveaway winner. Hello to you. I'm sending your stuff on Monday. I hope you like it, and thanks for asking me a question. You said, what perfume house has a history of making the most perfumes you enjoy? Okay, let's put all reformulations aside. It's Dior. The people upstairs are literally having rhinoceri over for dinner. Our ceiling's gonna cave in. It's Dior. They, despite all of the reformulations, I've always loved the range of fragrances they have, the diversity. I love the Poison line, I love Addict, Dolce Vita is amazing, but they've also got a real, you know, they've been going for years, so they really do have a lot of vintagey smelling fragrances. Dior Essence, Diorella, Diorissimo, all of those kinds of ones. And Dior Essence is my mum's signature. I've mentioned that quite a few times before. And yeah, Dior for me, if they hadn't reformulated everything, would still be my most favourite house in terms of how many things they make that I love. So that's the answer to that one. This next question comes from Roxana Saw. It says, hi, probably this has been discussed to death in the fragrance community and you've probably answered to this already somewhere else or even on your channel. If that's the case, I hope it's not an annoyance to share your own experience again. Oh, you're so sweet. Don't worry, it's fine. I'll answer. It's fine. Don't be so apologetic, it's fine. My question is, since you started using more expensive or niche fragrances, did it happen to you to not be able to go back and use the perfumes you've previously had, in brackets, the cheaper ones, just because they didn't appeal to you anymore? And by this I mean that does your nose brain doesn't like those old perfumes any longer as it finds them boring and bland or even cheap smelling now? Thank you. That's a really, really cool question. And what I'll probably say about that is that no, I've not, it's not that I've not been able to go back, because I don't view niche fragrances as being the top and then designer fragrances being the middle and then celebrity being the bottom. I don't tier them like that. What I do think happens is you gain an appreciation when you start going down the niche route and start smelling more obscure fragrances. What happens is you gain this level of appreciation of what fragrances can be. And I always feel like niche fragrances are a little bit more crystal clear in the way they smell. It's easier to pick out notes when you smell a niche fragrance because of the way they're blended. Not all, I'm talking as a general rule right now, and I think that should be the tone of this entire video. This is going to be very general. I'm not here to get into debates about things. So niche, once you start going down the niche route, like I said, I found it easier to pick out notes within niche fragrances, where designer fragrances are made for the mainstream. Designer fragrances, admittedly, are my hardest reviews to do because things aren't always apparent and don't always jump out in the way that they do when you wear niche fragrances. Niche fragrances, as a general rule, tend to use a lot more natural ingredients. Not all of them. General, again, I'm saying general. They tend to use a lot more natural ingredients, so you can pick things out. They're easier to dissect. They are the best way of training your nose into learning individual notes and tones and things like that. Whereas designer fragrances and celebrity fragrances are much harder. I've smelled fragrances before on the designer market and stuff that have supposed to be, have jasmine as a main note, and I've gone, huh? I can't smell that because I know what jasmine smells like. So in answer to your question, no, I don't ever look back and I don't class them as being best, better, worst. So thanks for your question though. Washing machine is starting up. Washing machine is gonna make noise. Sorry about that. The next question comes from Forever Fragrant Kid. I love you, sexy lady. Oh god, okay. Sorry, I'm just fangirling over you a little bit. Is that okay? What is a fragrance you've been dying to try, or one that's discontinued, hard to find, that seems to have eluded you? I can think of one immediately, and it's called Forest Rain, and it's by Kiehl's. Kiehl's are the people that make the really expensive products in the plainest packaging ever, by the way. It always seems to pop up on Fragrantica about, the best foresty type scent and stuff, and it's in this square, beautiful green bottle, and I just really, really want to try it, but I don't think I'll ever be able to, because they're an obscure, well, they're not known for their fragrances anyway, they're known for their cosmetics, so I'll never get to try it, but I have a feeling that this fragrance is the fragrance that a lady was wearing once in a shop that I stupidly didn't ask her about what it was. I feel like it fits the bill. I've been looking for this fragrance for years. You never know. Anyway, kisses to you, you gorgeous, beautiful thing. So this question comes from Sabine Schlicht. Does anyone know what happened to Katie Puckrick? I don't know what happened to her. She's one of my favourite reviewers. I know that she doesn't do reviews anymore, not for many years, but she has a blog and she posted most recently in November last year, so she is still around. She's doing something, I don't know where she is. Katie Puckrick, if you ever watch this, I like your reviews. Sharp, to the point, eloquently executed, amazing. The next question comes from, well, it says 2 Qs. Horan L. Okay. Ooh. Okay, I need to press the read more button because it might be long. 2 questions. 1. What's your most memorable fragrance experience you have associated with travelling or just general, if not? That's gonna make me think very, very deeply. Most memorable fragrance experience you've associated with travelling or just in general? Wow, you stumped me. I mean, I wouldn't really call them fragrance experiences. When I travel, I take in the smells of the nature and the place and the things that people are cooking and the clothes, and even down to things like the smell of the people when they come near me in whichever country I'm in. When I go on holiday and I travel, I don't tend to, apart from when I went to Grasse last year and the year before, because that was a perfume holiday, I don't tend to focus on fragrance when I travel, unless I'm in the airport. I usually buy a fragrance, hopefully, if I can afford it and the situation fits. I usually buy a fragrance when I'm in the country, and then I use that as my memory when I come back. So for instance, when I went to Nice last year with my best friend, I purchased Fragonard's signature fragrance, and I sprayed it when I was there and I loved it and I bought it, and now when I've come back it's my French Riviera fragrance that I absolutely love. So that's a really good question, but it doesn't work like that for me, so sorry I couldn't answer it properly. Anyway, your second question, which particular fragrance do you wish should have more attention, and which one do you wish people just stop all the hype already? So that was 3 questions, okay? That's totally fine, don't worry. Which fragrance do I wish would have more attention? That's a really cool question, because the things that I find that are hidden gems that I absolutely love, I kind of want to keep for myself. Is that really selfish? So if I find something that I think is a hidden gem, I'd rather not shout about it. So I don't know if I should say anything right there. But this is a fragrance community, who am I kidding? Okay, give me a second to think. I'm going to have to cut this video, I can tell that, otherwise you're going to have 10 minutes to be going. There is a fragrance by Juliet Has a Gun called Citizen Queen, and while they are quite popular as a niche brand, I'm not sure a lot of people that go to department stores might know who they are. This is going to sound so stereotypical and generalisationing. That fragrance to me, I think, is one of the most beautiful iris soft leather powder fragrances I've ever smelled, and most people that I talk to about it in the fragrance community agree. I think it should be much more well known. I think it's amazing, it's so beautifully blended, it's soft. My review, I was gushing. I mean, I'll go and watch it if you want. It was really, really cool. And then which one do you wish people would stop all the hype? My instant reaction is to say Aventus by Creed, but then I've fallen into the trap myself. What happened to me? Before I had properly tested Aventus Creed out, Creed Aventus, sorry. When I first smelled it, I didn't really understand the hype. I did that dumbass thing, perfume schoolboy error 101, where I sprayed it on a card, made an initial knee-jerk reaction and said, what's going on here? It took somebody that I work with that wears it, working with them every day, and then walking into work and sitting down by me for me to realise, wow, that's actually really good. So I guess I've just kind of answered myself out of that question. I don't know. Sorry, on to the next. This question comes from Paul Hegarty. Is there a way of training my nose to pick out individual notes? Yes, there is. There's a couple of ways actually. One of them is more difficult but really cheap, and then the other way is going to cost you money but it's easier, so take your pick. The first one, which is the more difficult way, is to do some research online for a couple of fragrances. I would say probably 3, 4 if you can manage it, that share a predominant same note. So let's take for instance jasmine. Research online. Fragrantica is an amazing source of perfume, everything. It's got a community on there, profile pages for every single perfume pretty much that you can find. source a few out, you know, find a few. So you pick jasmine. If you don't know what jasmine smells like, flowers are the hardest thing to decipher. Jasmine's an easy one, but when you're talking about things like clematis or, you know, orchid, things that you won't necessarily have at your doorstep, pick maybe 3 or 4 that have a predominant note of that. When you're next out shopping, spray them on a card, spray them on your skin, smell them side by side, and find a similarity. That's the best thing I can do or say to kind of advise you on that. So the second one, which is easier but more expensive, is to purchase essential oils. I know that seems like a waste, but you can use essential oils for everything, so it's not really a waste. You can buy, you know, a mill of pure jasmine oil for a couple of pounds in England anyway, and online in the world, and you can put it on a blotter card thing, and you can really smell the shit out of it, excuse my language. It's the best way. It's the best way is to smell the raw ingredient. You can also start, I'm going to give you a third, I've just thought of it. You can also, you know, there are easy ways, things in nature, things around you, use them, things in your kitchen. I'm sure you have spices, I'm sure you have pepper, I'm sure you have herbs, you know, most people cook nowadays, right? Use what you have around you. It was a really big piece of advice that my tutor gave me when I embarked on my perfumery course. She said, you know, you're smelling all of these beautiful oils, but make sure you're using your surroundings as well. Walk past a tree, do anything, pick a piece of grass, you know, and the next day it was spring actually, and I walked past a cherry blossom tree and I pulled one off and I smelled it. And it was gross. Good question, Paul. Thank you. On to the next one. Afri-scents, Afri-scents, Afri-scents. This woman just makes me so happy. Afri-scents, hello. I need to say a personal hello to you. Guys, go and please check out her channel. This woman is the most rambunctious African lady with bundles of personality and sass. And you know, she's kind of embarking on a fragrance channel as well. So go and see her, she's so beautiful. Hello, I need to give you a kiss. So you said, have you ever woken up from a dream that you were sniffing a fragrance and you woke to what feels like the scent cloud all over you until you actually went on to sniff the actual fragrance in real life? That's an amazing question, and now I'm jealous because I really want that to happen. Did that happen to you? I really, really hope that that happens one day. That would be almost like Inception. That would be amazing. I've had things like that happen with colour, and I've had it happen with feelings where you wake up and you still feel, you know, but that's kind of run-of-the-mill dream stuff. But no, I've never had that happen. I've definitely smelled things in dreams though, so I can safely say I dream in colour and I can smell things in my dreams. So, but yay, share your experience with me, I want to know. The next question comes from Donald Donaghy, fellow Irishman, possibly? My surname's O'Brien, so. You said, what's your favourite book and why? Oh, gosh, I don't know. I mean, immediately I can tell you my favourite, but can I have 3? Do I have to have 1? I can't have 1, I'm sorry. I'll tell you my favourite, but I have to have 2 others. So my ultimate favourite book in the entire world is Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Gordon. Oh, that book is like poetry, it is like petals on a page. When I first read it, I was immediately transported to Japan. It's made my obsession with geishas really strong, and I've never turned pages so delicately when I've read a book. You know, it was literally, the whole thing was, I don't know, euphoric and beautiful. It's ultimately, no spoilers by the way, it's ultimately the story of 2 young girls in Japan whose parents die when they're very young and they get sold off to become geishas in Japan, and it's about one of the women's stories, how she becomes the greatest geisha in all of Xi'an. And don't watch the film ever. The book is magnificent. I've read it once, I read it 15 years ago, and I haven't read it since, which is weird because usually when I love something I will repeat. But this one I feel like I'm savouring it from when I'm old. I want to read it again. I have to talk about another one. It's not my favourite, but it's the only book that's ever made me cry in my entire life. It's called 1,000 Splendid Suns, and it's by Khaled Hosseini. He wrote The Kite Runner, which is a really famous book. I read that first, and then I read this one, and I don't think I've ever been moved so much by a book. Like I said, I cried when I read it. You know, when you read a book and you don't realise you're turning the pages, that's when you know it's a good book. When you don't even know you're turning, you're so engrossed in it. It's the story of two women in Afghanistan during the war, and both are kind of like betrothed to the same man. One of them is really young, and it's a story about womanhood and friendship and power and struggle, and it's deeply harrowing. But it's one of the best books I've ever read, so I have to talk about that one. And the last one I have to talk about, because I wouldn't be me if I didn't, is Shantaram. This book is set in India, no surprises there. I love it, I love India so much. Yeah, it's a really long book, but it's about a man from New Zealand that gets put in prison and he escapes and starts a new life in India, and it's about all the people he meets and the journeys he goes on, and yeah, it's a massive book and it's amazing. But I need to just quickly run to my room and get something to show you. Perfume, guys. It's a book that I've got 4 months ago and I still haven't read one page. Bear with me. I'm back. It's this. I bought this book, Perfume, A Century of Scents. There's a lady on the perfume community called Odette Toilette. That's like her perfume stage name, if you like. She's written a book called Perfume, A Century of Scents, which I want to review. I will review it eventually, but I need to read it first. It's got a page in it for every year over a decade of, I guess, what she thinks is the signature fragrance of that year. So let's do a little test. Hang on. So we'll turn to the page, and I guess it's kind of like a light, humorous look at fragrance. Let's have a look. We'll just pick a random page. I don't know. I'm trying to find one. Some of these I've never even heard of, which is great. It's going to be a great way to learn about them. Okay, and she names each of them by a little kind of catchline. Here you go. Look. Okay, I've turned to 1978. The fragrance is Magie Noir by Lancôme, which we all know is black magic. I'm wondering if she's talking about the older formula or not. She calls it the Wiccan perfume. Just a little excerpt. Excerpt? That's the right word, right? Magie Noir was one of those perfectly timed fragrance launches that completely cannibalised a certain mood and interest which had been building throughout the 1970s in all things pagan and spelly. Tons of stuff in there. I will read this and I will review it for you guys, but yeah, great one. Go for it. Look at my little bookmark. The next question comes from Jennifer Boardman. You talk to me all the time. You said, where's the bird gone? It's okay, he's still here, right over there, just waiting to tweet at any given opportunity. Are you married? No, I'm not married. And thanks for doing my favourite perfume channel. You're welcome! Totally welcome. No, I'm not married, and I'm not sure I ever will be. We'll see. I don't think I can find a dress to fit. This next one comes from E Lives in Colour, and you say, I know it's unpopular in the frag community to like Aventus and Sauvage, but I do. I just talked about that a minute ago. Are there any fragrances that you like that are unpopular to like? Although I've enjoyed fragrance for as long as I can remember. Are there any fragrances that you like that are unpopular to like? Yes, loads. I tend to want to wear things that not necessarily jar people, but I like to wear things that aren't necessarily pretty or popular or common. I mean, I've got loads of those kind of fragrances, but I'm always searching for that spark of something that's a bit, makes you go, oh, okay. The one that springs to mind and always does is MM Ink by Byredo. It's a very animalic, incensey, dirty, strange fragrance, but it seems to sing on my skin. It is, if you read the reviews, the reviews are really, really funny. I also tend to like kind of harsh floral sometimes. I love Eden by Cacharel. A lot of people don't appreciate that fragrance, but I really appreciate the artistry behind it and how bold it is. I love that fragrance, so that answers that one, hopefully. You also said, what started your enthrallment with fragrance? I've answered this before and I'll say the same thing again. I've always been obsessed with my sense of smell. always, it's not just fragrance, it'd be anything, candles, lip balms, incense, the smell of my mother, anyone around me that used to wear fragrances. I'm always smelling everything. I smell, when I go to the supermarket, I always smell the fabric conditioners and the softeners and the air fresheners, just everything. I've just always been obsessed with my sense of smell, so it was just natural that I would progress into having the ultimate experience of smellage, which is fragrance. You also asked, why is Clive Christian so expensive? I don't know. I've never smelled a fragrance by Clive Christian. I know they're very expensive though. I don't know why they're expensive. When a fragrance is very expensive, it's one of two things happening. It's either a company piggybacking on the fact that they are niche and pulling the wool over their customers' eyes, or it's the fact that they're using expensive ingredients.